And you might say, well, you're so demoralized you can't get a toehold, and that's only because you lack humility. If you can't clean up your room, you can clean up half your sock drawer. And maybe that's where you have to start. I'm dead serious. I had lots of clients in my clinical practice who lived at home in their 30s. They were completely bloody useless, and they knew it. And cleaning up their room was a task they hadn't managed to undertake independently for 18 years. And so they weren't going to go and do it just because we talked about it for an hour in therapy. But you could scale the task back until you found some little thing that was somewhat of an improvement that they could and would do. And that's where they had to start. And so if you want to sort yourself out, get on your knees and find a task small enough that someone as useless as you can manage it, and start there.
Hi, welcome back, you guys. Well, some of you didn't leave. I guess I left, so it's more like a welcome back to me, but a lot, I'm sure, are gone if I have anything left at all. But anyways, the last video I did was December 31st. The last video that I uploaded was December 31st, 2021. I did videos for about 2 months previous to that, and I think in that month of December I was kind of spotty, but basically for those 2 months I uploaded maybe 3 or 4 times a week, I want to say. And this is it's my 3rd or 4th time trying this video. I get emotional, or I stutter a lot, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm in a grocery store and I still feel really insecure about recording in public, and I don't really know what to say, but I haven't, after that last video that I uploaded, New Year's Eve 2021, I did record other videos, but yeah, I haven't uploaded any since then, and I kind of haven't done much, and this video I haven't edited since then. I haven't, done any of that. So I really want to get this up today. So, bear with me. I don't know that I'll get a chance to edit it, and it's going to be spotty, but this is like my 5th try. So I'm not going to redo this. Anyways, and I'm going to just try to keep, composure and just keep going. So what happened was I did record some videos after that New Year's Eve in January and beginning of February 2022, and I just didn't get a chance to upload because a lot of things were going on, and I had somebody who was really close to me who needed some help, and so I was back and forth, and I was like, well, I'll still record, but I just don't, I couldn't find the chance to edit and upload and stuff. So I had all these videos, and I had also, the way I was doing it before, I had a phone, but didn't really have the money for the phone. So I ended up selling it, and it was way too expensive. It was just something that I had the money at that moment, so I bought it, but I knew that I needed that money for food, and then when this friend needed help, I needed some of the money for travel, so sold the phone, and then I was trying out an iPad, which is, which I also was just trying to see if any of these things would work, because I really didn't know what I was doing. So I had limited funds. I was buying some stuff, but I knew that I wasn't, and I do feel bad about that, but it's, it is a thing. You try things, and if they don't suit your purposes, then I return it. So anyways, I had this iPad at the time. It was like an iPad Air 4 or something. Because I can't do everything off the phone anyways. The screen is just too small for me, and I'm just not Generation Z or whatever. So I just feel more comfortable doing something off a larger screen, especially editing and things. So anyways, I had this iPad Air 4, and I had all these videos, and I was going to edit them, and I had so much, all these. I was trying to do some B-roll, and I was trying to do some stuff to make the videos good, and I had all my previous videos, and I had notes, I had history from, because I told you guys I was gonna do YouTube, and when it kind of first started, was suggested to me to do it, 2012 or something. I think it started in 2008, but it was suggested to me to do it in 2012. I was going to do it, and then I was going to do it in 2016, after the election, blah, blah, blah. And then 2018, I actually made a video. That was my first YouTube video, so I actually made a video, but I never uploaded it, and I never went on with it. I just have fought this depression and everything else that I've gone through. So anyways, I did finally do it in October of 2021, but yeah, I had all of these notes, and I had all of this stuff, and it was saved on that stupid iPad. I downloaded everything on there, and I had this SanDisk SSD, and expensive, and the one that every YouTuber suggests, the SanDisk 2 terabyte SSD, back up all your stuff. And I really don't know if it was the iPad or the SanDisk, but in half a millisecond, everything was gone. Everything was gone. And circumstances being different, if I was just somebody who had all my other ducks in a row in life and wasn't fighting this debilitating mental challenge of depression and anxiety, everything else you want to label, and just being in the circumstances I was, and struggling as much as I was, and every single time I tried to do something to get out of my situation for literally like 10 years. Every time I tried something, it was like my hand wasn't just lightly smacked. It was like somebody took a bulldozer and ran over me. And so that's happened so many times. When I finally started YouTube, and I was like, okay, I actually, wow, I had 1,000 subscribers before I knew it, and I didn't expect that. I felt like I read comments, and people, I felt like I was reaching people and maybe making a difference, and purpose was my biggest drive. That's what I needed. People always think that, homelessness and all this stuff is just about money, and it's not. Oh my gosh, it's not. That's as silly as saying all you need to do is feed a kid, and that's all they need. Like, it's just not. It's It's not that simple. So, purpose is the big thing for me. Everybody's homeless for different reasons, but purpose was the big thing for me, and I'm not the only one. So I felt like I was getting something, and the park that I was staying at, and the people that I was being able to actually help in real life, in the flesh. It was all, I felt a tiny bit of momentum, the tiniest bit of momentum. And so that's all it was. And I don't even want to say hope, because hope is a really hard thing for me. I think it's a really hard principle for a lot of people. So all I want to say is I felt the tiniest bit of momentum. And then just to have everything gone, just I knew I was behind. I hadn't uploaded in like 2 months, and but I had tons of stuff, and all I had to do was the editing, and I could have put up a video a day, and I was really struggling with the situation with the individual in my life as well, and was bringing up a lot of old stuff and present stuff with them and with other people around them. And but just losing all that material in half a second. And I was actually with a friend whose husband knows computers in and out. Like, he's highly intelligent, and he does it for a living. And so I went to him, and I told him what I did, and he works more with Microsoft and Windows and stuff like that, so he's not as familiar with iPads. And he's like, well, it's usually user error. What did you do? And I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, look at this process. I did not push delete. I didn't push cancel. I didn't push, there's not even those buttons on the screen. Like, you couldn't have, to delete everything off the computer and everything off that disk, it wasn't something I did. He would not believe me. I showed him over and over and over and over. And in some ways he's like, okay, but I think he was just placating me. But I didn't do anything wrong, even though I hate technology. I hate touching this stuff. Like, learning how to just edit and do a video and upload it is big to me. So I could live without a phone. I could live without any of this technology except, watching stuff, because it's the only thing that kind of keeps me alive right now. But yeah, it was gone. He couldn't get it back. And I was desperate, and I spent some money trying to do these trying to get the information off of these SSD drives, and what are all the places I went? I can't even remember now, but all of those backup recoveries, I went to Apple. I told them, oh, that never happens. Oh, that never happens, Called SanDisk, oh, that never happens, sorry. Whatever. But you do actually, there are people on YouTube that have had those things happen. But, and I watched so many videos how to get it back, and most of them said sorry. You're not going to be able to get it back because it's an SSD. It's not a physical backup hard drive with spinning disks and da 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 da. Which those, I mean, if you really want, like, you can send this stuff in a hard disk drive and they'll like mechanically put everything back together and find your stuff, but you have to pay like an exorbitant amount of money. And for an SSD, they say most of the time it's not even going to work, but it's like thousands of dollars. So I called a friend and I just had a breakdown, you know. I was weeping and wailing at the top of my lungs. I just was, and not just because of that. I mean, this is like not the biggest problem in the whole world, right? But it was just one more bulldozer, and I I believe 100% in God. I believe 100% that God is good, and and He lets us struggle, and sometimes it's just like, well, what do I need to do to get out of this black cloud? Like, what do I need to do? So, just you can only handle so many bulldozers. You just can only handle so many. I don't know what to say. Not the biggest thing in the whole world, but it was everything for me at that time. Like, and I want to say the last 10, 15 years now, really, it's just been my Job experience. But then part of me still, even after all this time, feels like I caused some of it, even though I've gone over it, and we all make choices. The only way I can explain it is, because you want to say, okay, you're an evil person, God's punishing you, so you're an evil person. That's what you want to say. That's where we go when we have hardships. But this life isn't about, I think a lot of people think it's about happiness, and it's not, actually. But you want to say, okay, well, I must be an evil person. But, I don't want to compare myself to Job, but we all have our different experiences in life, and we definitely make choices which lead to outcomes. But sometimes the punishment is far worse than the crime type thing. Like, I'm human. Some people, they hit their toe and it's just they stub their toe. Other people, it's like all of a sudden a machete takes their leg off, like, and all they were doing was walking, like. So, and I'm sorry, I sound really victimish in that sense, but I'm not, actually. I've beat myself over the back with accountability and everything else. But I got stuck in the pain of it, and maybe the Lord allowed the darkness for all. I can't say He didn't, because I have tried. I have tried. Every time I see a parting in the cloud, I come up with a new plan how I'm going to get out. But when I get bulldozed, I go down for the count for a long time. So that was the first thing that happened. And I tried for months and months and months and months to regain those lost files, and that my friend's husband he stuck with it, and a few months later he did regain, I want to say 70%, after about 4 or 5 months. But now it wasn't in any sort of order. Now it's all over the place. Some of it, even though he got it back, it was chopped, so it was, freeze framed. Like, some of it wasn't actually good, even what was, retained. I don't want to say retained. I can't think right now. I'm fasting today too, and I'm really hungry, and so my voice, my thoughts are all over the place. Anyway, so so I did get some of it back. I got 70% back, but let's say another 20% of that was ruined. But even just going through what I had, that 50%, that 70%, it was going through it was just, it was 2 terabytes of files, and I'm not talking just videos, because I know that can add up. Like, if you do a 4K video, apparently, it takes a lot of space. Well, none of my videos are 4K, first of all. But it wasn't just videos, it was notes, it was just too much. So it took months and months of going through that to try to compile and put something back together. All the while, I'm still dealing with this individual with a challenge that is really wearing on my emotions as well. And I do need to be helping myself because I'm in a bad situation, but I was at the time, and I still am, but anyways, then somebody else around that individual and physically assaulted me. I'm okay. I actually was protected. I don't know how else to say it. I was protected, and there's maybe another reason why I didn't get really, really injured. I don't want to talk about the other reason because despite this individual, I just don't want to put anything negative out there. But I was protected because I was hit in the head 30 to 50 times. And 50 might sound like an exaggeration if this individual ever watches this video. But it was definitely at least 30 shots to the head. And so one of the reasons why I came out unscathed is I was protected, and I didn't, I tried defensiveness a bit, but all that went through my head is who this individual was and that I didn't want to hurt them, and so, I told him, because he came back twice on me, and I got upset because he hit my glasses multiple times, and because these were square punches in the back of my head, my face, everything. You can see the glasses, that metal piece right there. Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. You can see it's glued on. Anyway. It's, I got these glasses in Mexico for $20. I need them. And, didn't have the money to go back to Mexico or anything like that, so. Unfortunately, 2 of my teeth broke, so I'm gonna have to eventually make that trip, because it's too expensive here in the United States, and anytime you go to a dentist here too, if you just want a crown, they want to like drill into your mouth and give you a $3,000 bill. You know, oh no, you need root canal, and you need a bridge, and you need this, and you need that. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So that happened, and I was okay, but emotionally, mentally, I was disturbed. And I am being vague about certain things because I will always be vague about the people in my private life, because for obvious reasons. I'll explain it in another video if you really need me to. But I've said that in past videos, and then I've seen people in the comments, oh, you're so vague, you're so vague. Yeah, sorry, deal with it. Because with the amount of crazy people online, and they didn't opt for this. I'm not sharing their private information, and I do have 2 minds about it because it's my experience, my life, and I do want to share that. I'm a very transparent, open book person, so it's hard for me to not share. I don't like being vague at all. But and maybe in the future I will. But right now I don't think it's appropriate, and I'm not clear-headed enough to make any better decision about that. So people in my private life will remain private. But people in my private life have hurt me really bad, and so this happening, it was like, not just this happening, but it was like part of a snowball already rolling downhill that was just bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and my mouth drops that it's just so big. So I wrote them a letter, and the 2 other individuals that knew about it, and I forgave, and expressed what I believe is appropriate warnings. Appropriate actions, let's say, to curb the behavior in the future. I don't know. Anyway, that's more of a story than I want to get into. So, this video is already way too long. I was thinking maybe 15 minutes, and I'm going to try to, again, if I have some time to do some editing. I'm probably not going to edit this video at all, but I did want to add a video or 2 into it. But anyways, that happened. I dealt with this individual who needed my help. I I actually did not want to leave. I wanted to stay really bad, but I wasn't sure if it was because I was displaying unhealthy attachments and stuff, or whatnot. The individual who needed my help, I did not know what their future held, and how long this process would go. So talking about it with them and with others, I did make the choice to go. And so, with the I cannot think of the word, but with the recuperated footage that I got back, and just had to, spend thousands of hours going through everything and filing it, and and then finally getting to editing and so forth. I planned on doing that, and I decided that I needed some help with this YouTube thing, and I needed a job, and I needed some support. I didn't really have support anywhere else in my life. I had 2 friends that would come in and out of the picture, mostly over the phone, not like in person most of the time, depending. But they have their own challenges and their own struggles, and so it's not consistent, and it's not as solid as it need to be for what I'm dealing with. So even if I couldn't get support in any other area, I just at least wanted some support, in a job, and with YouTube, because doing a job is one thing, but my mental and emotional place where I'm at, I need to have some purpose. I need to have something that I wake up and want to live for. Because, some people just go through depression, but depression is such a blanket word. Mine, I hate that you can't just say words on YouTube. Like, you have to, come up with these undercover words. Mine turns into self-deletion. And I think about that on the daily. Sometimes it's worse than others, so I'll think about it daily, hundreds of times a day. Let's say at least 30, 40, whatever. It's a consistent thought throughout the day for months and months and months and months and months. And then, I'll have a few days where I don't feel that way, and then maybe a whole few weeks where I don't feel that way, and and I'll be getting better. And this is where I'm saying the light comes through the clouds, like the light parts the clouds. And so I'm like, okay, now you have this little bit of light coming through these clouds, let's plan, let's do something. And then unfortunately, sorry, I'm just seeing if people are coming this way. And then unfortunately I'll get bulldozed. So, but at this moment, I was having a lot of hits, but I was like, okay, well, this individual is taken care of as much as possible, despite that I want to be here and do more for them. Sorry, I don't even want to talk very much about that. But, so I can go, I need to be responsible for myself. So hear somebody now, and it's really uncomfortable because I can't stop the video. Otherwise, I am going to have to do some form of editing. I don't know. Let's see if the guy can even hear me. Hey, can you hear me down here? Not really? It doesn't bug you that I'm talking then? Okay, cool. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, I don't even want to go into that. Especially with somebody sitting here now too, and I'll lose it. So anyway, I made the choice to go and try to get my life back on track again. But I decided I needed some help, and I needed a job to gain that momentum and finances, obviously. And I needed some help with YouTube, so I thought, okay, 2 birds with 1 stone. How about I go work for somebody who does YouTube? Sorry, I just really have a hard time with people. I get uncomfortable. So I'm like, okay, well, how about somebody who does YouTube, and I can work for them, and then they'll be, I'll ask them for a lower pay as long as I can hang out just a little bit and watch them edit, or learn how they do a thumbnail, or learn how they get how the algorithm works or whatever. And I had seen this YouTuber a while before that. I want to say a year before I started. And he had been talking about, if I was somebody who was just starting this, what I would do is go work for someone like me. In fact, I would come work for me, I mean, that's pretty much what he said. I would work for somebody like me. And I had actually been thinking about it at that time before I even ever started. And so there were some people that I thought of doing it for. But I ended up coming to the conclusion that they probably wouldn't deal with me if I didn't even have a beginning and some sort of subscriber base. So, but when this guy actually said it in an interview, I was like, okay, having 0 subscribers and not even having done it, maybe he would take me. But the more I thought about it and not acting on it, but just going further down into depression at the time and everything else, I thought, you know what, no, I should just start at least, and then at least have something. So that was before I even started. That thought was in my head. Then I started, and as we've been talking, I did it for 2 months, and then all my stuff was deleted, and then helping this friend out and being so low and feeling like I was starting over again anyways, and just knowing that I really needed some support in my life. And I needed to work, and so this was a no-brainer. I needed both, right? So I thought, well, I can just live on very little. It's the experience that I want the most anyways, and the support. And this guy even said it. He even said that he he's sick of his of his successful friends that do this for a living and stuff, and he would love to mentor somebody. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I didn't have very much money left. I still had that iPad. I didn't have the phone anymore. But I bought a plane ticket to go find that guy. I really thought that I could show up. I knew the town he was in. Really thought I could show up, and he was big enough, so, and the way he described his business, I thought he would have a physical location. I was wrong. I was wrong. And again, I am being vague. Who is it? Who is it? I'm not going to tell you who. Because I may try it again. And I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And that is the thing. I showed up. There was no physical location. There was no, or at least a way for me to meet him. People thought it was weird to just show up, and I understand that. I do understand that, and I wouldn't want, I mean, in so many ways, you wouldn't want anybody else doing that, so, but I mean, I wasn't thinking of it that way. Oh, some random person, sees you on YouTube and they show up at your door. Wasn't thinking of it that way. I was thinking, okay, this is a business. And if I was going to go try to work for Google or try to work for IBM or try to work for Jack in the Box, whatever, I would go to their physical location and I would, show up and with a resume and, contacts that they could, vet me and, that sort of thing. So that was my thought process. I ended up staying out there for a number of months because I didn't want to give up, but it was increasingly difficult with my mentality and just people boo-hooing it, really, and kind of standing in the way. And I just didn't have the confidence. And I was really still thinking about this individual that I really didn't want to leave. And so just tried, but I didn't, I thought of even getting a sign and just standing out in the middle of the road saying, so and so, if anybody driving by knows this person, like a homeless person would do with a piece of cardboard, just standing out there saying, if you know so and so, tell them I'm looking for him, type thing. And yeah, people thought that was a bad idea. I honestly would have done it, but my confidence was, oh yeah, I was robbed when I got off the airplane. I was robbed in the airport. Not only a few things were taken, but they were things I needed and things I needed to do this. So, anyway, while I was out there, that individual who needed help had some major things happen, and it broke me. It broke me because, well, it broke me. And, that's all I'm going to say about that. So, that stayed with me. That trial stayed with me for a good number of months. Eventually I left the area and came back. The weather was getting too bad there, and you know, when you live outdoors, your whole life is about the weather. So I came back, and I was supposed to have gotten some very important things done, at least while I was out there, and I didn't. And I came back and I was just in a hole. I was just in a hole. So that was all of 2023. Or sorry, actually that was 2022. And so then why not 2023? Why don't you bounce back? For the beginning part of 2023, I was still dealing with that. I'm still dealing with it now. But not as bad. So, then I had a few other things happen. Just up and down. There's maybe 3 people I feel a responsibility for. That was one of them. The second individual came into the picture. And then I had some other, I was just lost. That's all. I had some other things come up, but I could have, I just felt hopeless about starting again. And not just that, but I mean, that's why I didn't start again, but I felt hopeless about everything, that's why. I felt hopeless about everything, so starting again was just one more thing to feel hopeless about. And now knowing I wasn't going to have any support, and you know, I just didn't have it in me at the time. I just, you know, and I'm thinking, oh no, I'll get better and but you don't. So, I wish I could push pause, because I know you guys are watching this and you're like, oh my gosh. But went up into the mountains for a while. One of the things that kind of hurt me, and I don't mean to hurt it, I'm responsible for my own feelings, so I don't want anybody to feel one way or the other about this. I think somebody else would have just let it roll off their back, but I just, when I did lose all that information and stuff, I was the two people that come in and out of my life and offer me some support and love on occasion. They're both like, well, maybe it was a sign that you're not supposed to do that. Maybe it's a sign that you're not supposed to do YouTube. Because I did wonder, I have put YouTube off for a variety of reasons. And one of which is because I don't know if it's right. And so when they said that, especially at that moment, I had worked so hard to just do the videos and get the B-roll and get all the other information and, try to put things together and da-da-da-da-da and have everything gone in just a split second, and then that's the conclusion. Maybe they're right, 100%. But I had been over that question, not only with them, but with myself about 1 million times. So that question was almost in the past. It's kind of like, should I marry this person? Should I marry this person? Should I marry this person? After you marry them, you don't ask that question anymore. So, I had already started YouTube. I had already started it, so it's like, let's put that to bed. And not only had I already started it, but I was on, Invisible People, which has thousands and thousands of views on that video, so I'm out there already, Anyway, it was like, okay, maybe that is a sign, but how many times are we going to ask this question? I feel like I already married myself to, committed to it. So I don't want to ask that question anymore. But nonetheless, God does work in mysterious ways, so maybe I should ask that question. But, sometimes bad things happen, and that doesn't mean that you're making the wrong choice either. But I don't want to be back in that state of confusion. And so it felt like they just didn't believe in me, And I, again, hate to say that so directly, because they're wonderful people and they would not, want me to feel that way or anything like that. But it left a little imprint, and it's not the underlying reason, but it's just an added thing, I go out and try to get support and try to work for this guy, and that fails, and I lose all my material. I get physically assaulted. I have this huge thing happen in my life. One of the biggest things happen in my life. Try to work for this guy, that fumbles, and I just don't feel like anybody believes in me, on top of just every steamrolling for the last 15 years. I just, and I still question, is this a good idea for me to even do this? Right. I'm fasting today for that reason, among others. So, well, let's talk about that. So why do it? Well, I don't know if it's the best reason, and I'll talk about it more in another video. I don't really want to go through it here, but simply, you know, it is the only thing that has made me feel propelled, and that is occupying my mind as a way out of the situation that I'm in, the homelessness situation that I'm in. I know you listening think, oh, there's 1,000 ways you could get out of this situation. But it doesn't feel like that to me. It doesn't feel like that to me. And I've analyzed it, and I know what I need as far as like purpose and things like that. I need that purpose in my life. And if I can't have it by bearing a child, which I'm not going to do because I'm not married, and now the time is probably past, if I'm not going to have that as a purpose, then what I have left is some sort of career that makes a difference. And for the last 10, 15 years, I have been through all sorts of different ideas of what would really, like, fulfill me as much as being a mom would, which is not actually possible, I don't think. But a close second, or at least a second, whether it's close or not, you know. And in 2018, like I told you, I thought about this a number of times, and certain things in my life in 2012 and all, you know, throughout these periods of time, I should have done it. But in 2018, it was when I came to the conclusion, oh, that's actually, that fits. You know, it fits my personality, it fits. But I was still concerned, is it the right thing? And anyway, so I'm fasting today so that these my future looks a little brighter. So I can get out of this situation for good. For good. You know, Job had his bad time, but he was also blessed, you know. I'm hoping at some point the clouds will part permanently, or at least not that no other cloud will come into my life, but not like this. And I'm praying, hoping that this is the right direction. So that essentially brings us to now. I'm probably not going to have a phone to do this with. I'm going to try to just do it off this iPad. I did film some things. I told you I had the iPad Air 4, and then I tried an iPad mini, thinking maybe I could not even have a phone, just do everything off that mini, but it wouldn't be so big. But, you know, carrying that around, filming in public, it was awkward. I mean, if you're walking down the street, it was really awkward. And it's small, so I went back to an iPad, you know, a larger, an 11-inch iPad, or 10.9, whatever they are. And I'm going to get a little camera. I thought a phone was best because obviously two birds with one stone, and even if I don't have a phone line, I can still use the phone for the camera and everything else, the internet on it. But Apple has a monopoly, and even though I really don't like Apple, I don't like Apple. But they have a monopoly in so many ways, and for somebody who's a Luddite, meaning somebody who does not like technology at all, it works together with things easier. So I can't afford an iPhone right now, and I'm not likelihood I'm not going to be having a phone line anyway. So I'm thinking about getting one just for data for the iPad. But I don't know, because I'm almost at zero with my money. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know. I'm filming on the iPad right now. That's all I have. So, so my New Year's resolutions. And I'm sorry, this is a whole hour, holy cow. I'm such a long-winded person. If you haven't figured it out by now, go down to your settings. I'll show you on one of these videos, because you can totally speed up my talking. But my New Year's resolutions. Let me see if it will. I don't think it comes up on the screen while I'm talking. So you may not be able to see it in print, but I can see it. So 2024 goals. By the way, my plan was to be out of this mess by 2024. So 2024 goals is to do something. Just do something. Which, you know, honestly, I have. Every time I see that parting in the cloud, I mean, I take big moves and, you know, big risks. Most people wouldn't have just flown out and tried to find this needle in the haystack. Anyway, so, but I've been depressed. I'm down and out, so I'm just do something. That's the motto, is just do something, and momentum to foundation. Those are the mottos. Momentum to foundation. What is that supposed to mean? Well, I just need a little momentum just to build some foundation, so that foundation, kind of like building a house, right? You have the dirt, and if you can put that cement foundation, even if you don't build the house, you have the cement foundation. It is not just the dirt anymore. It's solid. It proves that you did something. It's there. You can't fall through it. There's no sinkhole. So, momentum to foundation. That's what I came up with. So my plan, and what this channel is really based around, which, seeing how I'm already at an hour, I will definitely go through this on another day. But maybe I'll put this as a smaller clip if I can possibly figure out how to do that. So 2024 goals, just do something. Momentum to foundation. The channel is based on, right, Sage, 7 Paths to Peace. I originally did not want to do a vlog. I wasn't planning on doing a vlogging channel. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to do a reaction channel, also interviews. Like, that's what I wanted to work up to. Kind of like a podcast, I guess you could say, but interviews. In 2018, when I really formulated some things, I was like, oh, I want to do some interviews and, talk about a variety of subjects and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes do reactions because we're so morally decrepit, in our society. So I wanted to see if I could add something to that conversation. So, but when you make goals, and what this channel is based on, 7 paths to peace. Well, 7 paths. Well, there's 7 days to the week. 7 is supposed to be a lucky number. So I believe there's 7 categories in our life that to have balance and so forth, we really have to work on each one of them. So the first category is spiritual. So my idea was, since there's 7 days of the week, I'll combine each one of these subjects, each one of these paths to peace, with a day of the week. So the first day, Sunday, is spiritual. Our spiritual life is one of our paths, if not our foundational path, I believe, but our spiritual lives. And you don't have to be religious per se. I mean, I am, and I believe that religion is important, but I know people who gain a lot of spirituality from walking in the woods or doing other things. So regardless of whether you're religious or not, your spiritual portion of your life is very important. So you've got spiritual, which I'm going to combine doing something with that on Sundays. Then Monday is your mental. So your mental part of your life is like education or training or just furthering your knowledge or your thirst for knowledge in different areas, or training, getting a trade, perfecting something in your life, some hobby that you have, or some, challenging your mental abilities. Somebody believes that this is wrong and you believe it's right, and you kind of go back and forth, listening to their arguments, and you form your own arguments, and it just increases your knowledge on the subject and increases your ability to defend it. There's a variety of things. So like if you're into carpentry, you can increase your ability in that area. If you're into mechanics, you can increase your ability in that area. If you want to debate these subjects like abortion or the border, or whatever it is, or if you're just reading and consuming and gaining knowledge just through books and talks and lectures and things like that, but you're mental, right? So Monday mental, Tuesday emotional, and I separate these two. I have, I was debating whether to separate them, but I believe they're very different. Your emotional life is obviously something I have a big problem with, that's your healing, and that's whether or not you have intimacy in your relationships, and whether you're emotionally grounded. And boy, we don't see that in our society anymore. So you understand what I mean by that. I'll go into these things further. Let me go a little quicker. Your physical, that's obvious, right? Working out, eating, sleeping, relaxation, all of that kind of stuff. Your financial, That's obvious too. Your money, your budgeting, your business, a side hustle, learning more about finances, investing, da 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 da. Your social life. So to me, that's closer people, like I was saying, like intimacy and things like that. I think that's your family, your friends. You can include community, like if you go to a church or whatever, your community or your neighborhood or whatever, but your social life. And then lastly, societal. The larger community out there, people all the way in the other side of the United States or even in another country. But society, what do you do for society? How can you help make an imprint, even in your small or big way? So those are the 7 areas. So each day of the week, I'm going to be focusing on one or the other. And let me just say this. I honestly have no clue how this channel is going to go. Somebody else just came in. I honestly have no clue how this channel is going to go, and I don't want to make any promises because, like I said, I wanted to do reactions. I wanted to do interviews and things like that. I didn't really plan on doing vlogging, and I do have these 7 categories which I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize in my own personal life so you guys can see my journey, because in each one of these categories I'm basically below 0. I'm way deep in the sinkhole, so I'm not even working at any sort of I'm bad in every category. So I want you guys to be able to see that in me, and hopefully I can be an example to you guys of maybe starting your own. Sorry. But I'm so bad at doing this in front of other people. I hope you can still hear me. So, man, I was almost done with this video, and he walked in right now. So, anyways, maybe I can be an inspiration. That's the word I was looking for, not example per se, but an inspiration that maybe you guys would want to do that too in your own lives. So I am going to be doing some vlogging because it just is what it is. But I'm also going to be throwing some reactions in there and stuff like that to videos that just are on my mind just because I watched it and it's on my mind and I want to say something about it. The channel will probably be all over the place until I can work it out. But right now, for me to move forward, I can't think of precise how things are going to work and do a step by step. This is exactly how things are going to go. And I definitely can't commit to, okay, this is how the channel is going to look. And I'm a perfectionist, and this is one of the reasons why I don't start things, because it has to look a certain way and it has to be perfect from the get-go. So this is literally just me just throwing spaghetti to the wall and seeing which ones stick. So it's not going to be great for the algorithm, I'm sure, because probably some of you might like the vlog and probably some of you might like the reaction, and it's going to be frustrating, I guess. And I'll try to work it out, but and I may separate some channels in the future, but right now it's going to be a hodgepodge. And even though I have these 7 categories and I'm telling you 7 days of the week and yada yada yada, that doesn't mean that I'm going to do each category on each day of the week, because right now I don't want to think about some of these categories. I can't emotionally handle it. So, I'm not going to force myself to do that. Right now, I watch a variety of things. Some things are intellectual about, like, political subjects. And some things are just about relationships. I've watched a lot of stuff about male-female relationships. And if that's what I feel like commenting on, then that's what I'm going to do. It'll be all over the place, but underlying it, and at least my personal goals on a daily basis, are in these 7 areas. So, hopefully, as time goes on, the picture will become clearer for you and me. So, my 2024 goals, my spiritual goals. I'm trying to keep things as simple and as easy as possible so that I don't get overwhelmed and stop. So the idea, just do something, okay? So spiritual, read and ponder the Bible daily. That might be 1 verse. I'm not going to say I'm going to read for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. Now, I do believe in reading scriptures for at least 30 minutes a day. So there's a good chance that I'm going to do 30 minutes. But I'm just not committing because also, with my life, like, you just don't know what's going to happen night to night, day to day, morning to morning. So, anyway, read and ponder the Bible daily. And number 2, mental. Take steps to grow your YouTube business weekly. Now, the reason I put take steps to grow your YouTube business weekly is because I don't like any of the technical stuff that I'm going to have to learn to do this. I hate it. I don't want to learn how to make a good thumbnail. I don't want to think about keywords to put in the description to get looked at. I don't want to have to figure out a stupid algorithm. I don't want to have to figure out a dumb laptop or whatever. Like, every time I've had a phone, I push send and play. Like, I don't go through all this stuff and figure out all these nooks and crannies on my phone and da-da-da-da-da. On a camera, I push click. I don't, 24 exposure, 4K, whatever. I don't like it. I don't care. I'm not on any social media. I could live without a phone. Now, because of my depression, because the way I live, YouTube is the one thing. But let me tell you, YouTube has kept me alive because it's the only thing that's kept my mind above the very depth, just slightly above the very depth of self-deletion. But it's also become a prison because then it's a great way, like, before you know it, a week's gone, a month's gone, which when you're depressed, that's a good thing, And depressed is not even the word for what I've been in. But anyway, we'll go through that another time. So, in some ways, it's not been it's an addiction. It's not been good. So I could do without that as well if I was living normally if I was my past self, let's say, right? But yeah, so take steps to grow your YouTube business weekly. That's just forcing me to at least look at one video, just one video on how to do this better. So one video on editing, or one video on thumbnails, or one video on keywords, or one video on the algorithm, whatever it is. And if all I do is look at that one video and implement it that week, I might implement it for the next 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 weeks until I'm good at it. But it's just one thing. And so I don't have to stress, and I don't have to say, okay, every week I have to be doing this and this. No. If you're coming here for somebody who's like a stellar mover and shaker right now, and on their grind and da-da-da-da-da-da, I don't know that I even ever want to get to that anyways, because there's some things that are not appealing to me for it, about being on the grind and being like this huge blah, blah, blah. But I'm nowhere near the past self that I used to be. That would be nice to get somewhere close to that again, but this is just, if all I do this whole year is keep focusing on getting a better thumbnail, well, it will be more than what I've done the last 5, so anyways, that's the mental for me. And that's not to say that I'm not going to have other things that I'm, because I enjoy watching a variety of videos that expand my education. But this is my commitment. And this is an area that I don't want to do. Really. Not because I don't want to be better in this, but it's just, these are the technicalities that I don't like about what I'm doing. I like the other stuff. I like relaying a message. I like hopefully being able to help some people. I like being able to say some things in maybe some ways that people didn't think about. Maybe it makes a difference in their lives. So you have to go through the mud sometimes. And the mud to me is all this technology and trying to figure all that out. Now, as far as keywords and all that kind of stuff, well, I used to do that because I used to sell cars and stuff. And I used to put it online, so I did know how to do some of that stuff, but it's been a long time and I don't like it. I like it. It was important to me then because I like negotiating and I like that sort of stuff and I like figuring some of those things out. But anyways, I'm just not that person anymore. I'm not motivated. These are my goals and I'm not motivated. But I see, that's why I want to get this video out today, because I want it to be on the first. Unfortunately, this is how I am too. The parting of the cloud, but also if there's something that makes logical sense, that's a new beginning. So here we are, January 1st, new beginning. So that's why if I don't get, I have to get it out today. So I have to start and then say you cannot fail. Good luck. So next one, emotional. I know a lot of you guys, when I was doing it for those 2 months, were like, oh, you really need to focus on your emotional, da, da, da. I already told you I've been through many counselors. It's not helped. It's time to look forward and not behind. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. But, no. Emotional, for me, is not trying to heal all of that stuff. It's about getting a little bit of a future. So, for me, the emotional, and this is actually the 2 biggest goals for me of all of these that I just feel like I must accomplish, is the spiritual, because it's so foundational. And then this one, posting daily videos, video/videos. So I can post more than one, but I need to post at least one video a day. To 1,000 videos is my goal. So 365 days in a year, I'll be to 1,000. If I only do one video a day, I'll be to 1,000 in 2.5 years. And I think that's plenty to be able to look back and say, is this a viable business or is this just a hobby? Honestly, I should probably be able to tell that before 2.5 years. But most people, even when they're starting a business, you can't just give it 6 months. Like, you have to, like, really, put your foot forward. And because I'm not my foot is decrepit versus somebody else's foot putting their foot forward, anyways, that just makes as much sense to me as possible. A video a day is a whole lot, and yet if I was opening a business that was going to cost $500,000 to start, that would not be enough. So, you know what I mean. Posting a video a day to 1,000 videos. I feel like at least that would get me to a point where I can just, say I tried, if it doesn't work. So, I may miss a day. It's possible. And I'm not supposed to beat myself up over that. The goal is the 1,000 videos. But I don't want to say 1,000 videos and do 2 videos a week and I get there in 10 years. I can't fail on that, okay? So some videos that will come out will probably be bad. Maybe just to meet my quota, I don't know. I'll try not to do that because your time is valuable. And I appreciate it very, very much. Okay, physical. I was going to just start with some exercise or this or that or the other. But honestly, right now, it's just get out of bed by 7 to 8 a.m. Be out of bed by 7 to 8 a.m. And then I decided, okay, get out of bed, breathe, and express one thing you're grateful for. I should be able to do that. And I just need to keep these things as easy and as simple as possible. So the 1,000 videos, the daily video, that's not easy. It's really not. This one is. The steps to grow my YouTube business, that's easy because I'm not forcing myself to climb mountains. It's just small things. This one, just get out of bed, is just easy per se. But with my mental state, it actually is a lot. However, I am homeless, so it's kind of a quandary because I'm oftentimes up at 4 a.m. I'm oftentimes haven't slept all night. And this is why I put this one too, because some places I won't be able to sleep at all. And so if I can get a little bit of sleep in the morning, like if I finally fall asleep at 6 a.m, I want to sleep as long as I can. But then it ruins the rest of my day. And I need to be getting out of this situation. And I've lived a lot of years without very much sleep. And fortunately or unfortunately, I'm still here breathing, so it's not healthy, it's not good. Don't follow my example in that way. But sleep isn't the number one for me right now. Although I know that wears on your cognitive da-da-da-da-da. In my situation, it is what it is. So regardless of whether I only got 1 or 2 hours the night before, or 3 hours, whatever, obviously I'm going to try to make sure I can find places where I can sleep. But like this upcoming week, it's going to be like in the 20s outside. It's so cold. So, no. So, and that's one of the reasons too, while it's 7 to 8, I don't want to, once the sun comes up, like, things start to warm up just a little bit. So, anyway, it's not often I'm actually asleep at that time. So you're like, oh, well then why is it a challenge? It's a mental thing as well. Get out of bed means get moving, get on your purpose, get to work, so that's that. Breathe. I actually didn't know that breathing was something that was all about your health, but now I've looked up some YouTube videos and people are really focusing on their breathing, so I thought, that's a good place to start. Just start with breathing. And expressing gratitude. Why would that be in the physical? Just because it's going to be part of my morning routine. And I actually believe that as we express that kind of stuff, it heals our bodies, our minds, our spirits, everything. So the thing is I haven't wanted to heal. I've wanted to self-delete. I've made choices that will inhibit my mentality as well, because I just wanted to go, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take the action, the final step, because I believed that I would offend God by doing that. So I thought there was a slow way to let me go that way, and that way is my mind. So I have lost a lot of things, so now I'm doing the opposite, and I really hope this works, because I don't want to refurbish and regrow my mind only to live in this hell. Part of the thing that is natural to all of us when we live in a hell for so long, we do things to numb ourselves, Now, I've never done a drug. I don't do most vices. So that's the thing, numbing myself with YouTube videos, and and I started eating candy again. So, but just trying to fry my mind. Anyway. So I hope this works, because I don't want to start growing only to make the hell more potent, I don't know. I know there's probably some of that. You have to go through fire before, but yeah, what happens when you get stuck in the fire? Anyway, financial is the next one. So keep my budget. And I will be telling you guys what my budget is and how this is going to work when I get to the finances. So today is mental, so I'm going through all these goals with you because it's Monday, it's mental. So I'm going through goals with you. Tomorrow is emotional. I'll talk to you a little bit more about, that goal per se and that sort of stuff tomorrow. Physical, I'll talk more about that goal on Wednesday then. Financial, I'll talk more about my budget and all that entails on Thursday. And then Friday, I'll talk more about social. So my social goal is 20 minutes conversation with a stranger weekly. 20-minute conversation with a stranger weekly. That uplifts me, that uplifts them. 20 minutes isn't that long. I don't have intimate relationships around me at all. I don't really have any other way of doing this. But when I'm in my hole, I'm all by myself. So the stranger is putting myself out there, But given what I'm trying to do, I'm going to be at the library a lot and things like that, so I will be around people a lot more. And maybe I'll be able to find another place like the park, because, I do feel like I think if I could have just stayed in that park, if they didn't close that to the homeless, and I could have just stayed there in that tent for the next 6 months, I would be out of this situation. I would have been out. And 2 years of progression down the road. Financially, that would have made a big difference. Socially, that probably would have made a big difference. Emotionally, that would have made a big difference. Spiritually, holy cow. If I could have just stayed in that park. I was doing good in that park. I was. And some of the reasons is because I had people around that I could actually talk to and that I could help. And I was helping people, and then I started YouTube, and I felt like that was good too, and that was starting to progress. I was getting a vision for it. And I was happy in that tent. Again, everybody thinks this is all financial for homeless people. It's not. I felt a measure of safety because I was right in front of the library. It was not safe. Okay? It was not. But I felt the measure. Much more of a measure of safety there than other places. So there was a consistency to it. I really felt like my stuff would be there when I got back. I didn't have to pack up and unpack. And the guy right next to me was totally mental. That was the worst part of that park. And there were some other things that made it unsafe. 100%. But if I could have had safety and just stayed there. Anyway. Okay, social, 20-minute conversation with a stranger weekly. Okay, the last one, societal. So this is where you pick a cause, or you pick some sort of thing that you can volunteer for, or you come up with something, you create something. It could be a 20-minute conversation with a stranger weekly. That could be something that you could do to improve society. It could be, I'm going to smile at every checkout person, It could be 1,000 things, okay? But to me, in my head, I like to do volunteer work. I like to do something to sacrifice my time for people. Not that those aren't, because they are. So again, like you can decide. But for me, I've done this throughout my life, but sometimes not for, a year or 2 or 3 or whatever, and then I go back into it. So I've worked at a lot of old folks homes. I've worked at disabled places, homes. I've done like kind of a training with teenagers. I've I've done a variety of things, but most of the time I've done most of the time with the old folks. And I want to go back and do that, but right now I'm not emotionally. I can't do it right now. So I think, and don't hold me to this because this is one that I'm not. I don't know how I'm gonna work this one out, especially because I'm moving around so much. But yeah, I thought, I'm homeless, so, again, that was one of the things that I was able to do in that park. Like, I would come to the park and people would just lay out all sorts of challenges and I could help. And so, you remember I had that particular friend. So that was a lot of effort to try to get her off the streets. And then there were one or two other people that I was involved with. And so I became familiar with the organizations and the NGOs. And I did not like a lot of them. I didn't think they were doing as much good as they espouse. Not all of them, but some of them. So I'm kind of actually thinking that I could actually volunteer. And it would be me helping people who are in my situation, yeah. And that sounds funny. But it would also maybe give me a little more background. I have worked for homeless. I worked for a food bank a long time ago, before I was ever homeless. So I've done that before, but maybe I could see a little more of behind those scenes. So I'm not sure how it's going to work. But anyways, those are my 2024 goals. When I talk to you about my budget and stuff like that, I'd really love to be off the street and in my own vehicle with my own name registered. Those are my 2024 goals, and I've taken up way too much of your time. If you made it this far, bless you. But hopefully I can get this posted. All right. We'll talk to you later.